Welcome to Super Bowl Talk. I'm Grace Fuerte.
And I'm Austin Burnett.
And we're going to preview Super Bowl 50 between the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. So, Austin, with both teams coming off really big wins from last week, what are your predictions for the Super Bowl?
Well, I think it's going to be an outstanding game, but I think that Denver's going to actually get the edge. I think Denver's going to win 21-18. So, what are your predictions, Grace?
I don't think that the game will be that close. My predictions are that the Panthers are going to come out really strong, and the final score will be around 34-12. So, Austin, who do you think are some key players that are going to have to step up for the Denver Broncos to come out on top?
Well, first on the defensive side of the ball, I think Chris Harris Jr., who's going to be matched up on Ted Ginn Jr., he's going to have to step up big time. You know, he covered Rob Gronkowski last game against the Patriots. He did an absolutely phenomenal job. He shut Gronkowski down throughout the whole first half. He let Gronkowski get a touchdown in the second half, but for the most part, Chris Harris Jr. did an absolutely amazing job covering him, and I think he's going to be an impact player going into the Super Bowl for the Broncos. Von Miller, a linebacker for the Denver front seven, he stepped up big time last week against the Patriots. Got that interception against Tom Brady. He's been making big plays this whole season. I think he's going to do an absolutely great job in the Super Bowl. He's going to have to also step it up big time. Aqib Talib, a cornerback. He has been making these highlight plays throughout the whole season, throughout his whole career. I think he's going to have to bring his A game, and I think he's going to have to make some big-time plays in order to stop the Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. Darian Stewart, he hasn't been a big name for the Denver defense this year, but I think the interception against Tom Brady last week really put him on the map, and I think he's really going to have to step up coming off the bench for the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 50. On the offensive side of the ball, big name, the Sheriff, Peyton Manning. He's just going to have to let things flow for him. He can't worry about doing too much. He's just going to have to be himself, just let things fly, soak it all in, and he should be, if he does what he's been doing the past 18, 19 years, he'll be just fine. Demaryius Thomas. He's been a big name wide receiver for the Denver Broncos this whole year. He didn't make that many big plays for the Denver Broncos last week against the Patriots, but in order for the Denver Broncos to have any type of success, Demaryius Thomas will have to get the ball in Demaryius Thomas's hands and let him make big time plays, because he's going to have to really step it up in order for them to get any type of production on the offensive side of the ball. Another big time receiver, Emmanuel Sanders. He's been a new addition to the Denver Broncos this past year, and he's been making big-time plays. He's been a great addition to the offense, and he's been able to open things up for Demaryius Thomas, also Owen Daniels. But I think if Emmanuel Sanders is able to make some big plays, get open, and make some highlight plays, then I think that'll be a big factor for the Denver Broncos in winning Super Bowl 50. Another key player that I just mentioned, Owen Daniels. Yes, I said key player. Owen Daniels hasn't been a key player for the past 6 to 7 weeks, but he really stepped up last week big time against the New England Patriots, catching those 2 touchdowns that helped Denver Broncos get the win against the New England Patriots. If Peyton can find Owen Daniels like he was able to last week, then Owen Daniels is able to take care of the ball. He has been a little fumble prone, but as long as Owen Daniels is able to secure the ball, get open, I think that he will also be a big-time impact player for the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 50. So, Grace, who are going to be some key players for the Carolina Panthers?
Well, on the offensive side, I think a key player will be their tight end, Greg Olsen. Him and Cam Newton always seem to connect really well throughout the games. Obviously, Cam Newton is a huge threat that the Carolina Panthers have. With his extreme athletic abilities, it's really hard to get him down, and he's playing on fire recently this season. On the defensive side, Carolina has a really strong defense. The Panthers are ranked number 4 this season. They have some really strong players. Luke Kuechly as linebacker, unstoppable, otherwise known as Superman, will be a huge factor in the game. Josh Norman has been a really big key player as cornerback for the Carolina Panthers, completely shutting out Odell Beckham Jr., and Michael Floyd was nowhere to be seen in the game against the Cardinals last week. Also on defense, Kurt Coleman, the Panthers safety, had a really big game last week and should do a really good job at shutting out the offense for the Broncos. So, Austin, what are your feelings about the matchup between Cam Newton, seeing as this is his first Super Bowl in the league, versus veteran quarterback Peyton Manning, who has already been in 3 Super Bowls?
Well, I think Cam Newton brings a lot of energy to the team. The team really soaks in that energy and then puts that energy out onto the field. He can burn you with his legs or his arm. He's such a versatile quarterback. He's proven it since he's been at Florida, since he's been at Auburn, and even obviously throughout this whole NFL career that Cam Newton can beat you any way possible. He can run. Right when you think he's going to pass, he'll take off. He's really hard to keep inside the pocket. So I think he's really going to be a key factor. And, if the Broncos really need to focus in on how to stop Cam Newton because he's such a versatile quarterback. Also, Cam Newton, he really is a huge leader of this team. He gave the halftime speech against the Cardinals and not Ron Rivera. So I think that's also a big factor in showing how much Cam Newton is a leader of this Carolina Panthers team. An interesting stat here, if the Carolina Panthers win the Super Bowl, Cam Newton will be the first player in NFL history to win the Heisman Trophy and national championship in college and then win a Super Bowl. So this is obviously a huge game for not only Cam Newton, but for this Carolina Panthers organization. Now for Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. Peyton's a veteran quarterback. He can't really burn you with his legs, but he's proven throughout his whole NFL career that he can burn you in any way possible with his arm. And, this being his 4th Super Bowl, he has that experience of being in the Super Bowl. He obviously has that 1 Super Bowl ring with the Indianapolis Colts and that victory against the Chicago Bears. So I think that Peyton Manning having that Super Bowl experience could give him an edge. But Peyton, he's gonna be as prepared as ever. He's Peyton Manning. So it's gonna be a good matchup between both quarterbacks. And also, this could probably be Peyton Manning's last game in the NFL. So I think he's gonna be even more prepared than ever. And I think that this could be an absolutely huge game for Peyton Manning and also the Denver Broncos.
So, against the Patriots last week, Peyton Manning said to Bill Belichick that he thinks it is his last rodeo. Do you agree with this statement? You know
what? Yeah, being a Colts fan, yes, I am a true Colts fan, but I am also one of Peyton Manning's biggest fans. I am a low Colts fan, but I do think this is Peyton Manning's last game in the NFL. I hate to say it, but he's getting to that age where it should be it for him. He's already broken so many records. He's broken almost every record that you can think of, every record that there is in the NFL for passing and as a quarterback. And I think that, yes, I think this will be his last game in the NFL. So, Grace, how did you get to become a Carolina Panthers fan?
Well, I started following the Panthers in the 2012 season when they first drafted linebacker Luke Kuechly out of Boston College. I was always a big fan of him. And the Panthers were hard to root for in the beginning. They had just had Cam Newton. He was not very experienced. Their team hadn't developed. They had some team drama with Steve Smith. But in the following season, they didn't have the best performance, but you could see the development within the team. But even through their 2013 season, I don't think anyone could have seen the 17-1 season. And as a Panther fan, I am very confident with them going into the Super Bowl. I think that they have all the talent necessary to come out with the win. I think that they play really well together and they have a ton of fun out on the field, which carries over into their performance. And I believe that they work really well as a team and that they have the family aspect.
We also got the chance to catch up with a Denver Broncos fan, and here's what he thinks about the Denver Broncos heading into the Super Bowl. Ethan, how do you feel about Peyton Manning's arm strength as he winds down his career in the NFL?
Well, in the AFC Championship, Peyton Manning had a good test against the Patriots defense. He was very accurate with his throws, a little bit wobbly here and there, but he's had that for a while, and he's been able to throw the deep ball recently. He had 2 good touchdowns over 20 yards, so I think those will be good indicators that he is still ready to go with his arm strength for the Super Bowl.
And how do you feel about the Broncos defense heading into the Super Bowl?
Okay, well, I think Von Miller is going to be a huge factor. There's not many people in the league that can block him, but as well as the rest of the D-line and the linebacking core, we got D. Ware, we got Derek Wolfe, we got Brandon Marshall. They're all very hard to block, and they're going to make huge hits in the game, as well as the secondary. It's going to be an explosive game for the Broncos defense, and I think they can stop Cam Newton.
All right. Sounds good from a Broncos fan. Thanks, Ethan.
Yep.
It should be an amazing game no matter what, as it'll be the young gun versus the sheriff, and it's supposed to be the most watched show in television history.
I'm Grace Huerte.
And I'm Austin Burnett, and this has been Super Bowl Talk.